Is Star Trek Judgment Rites one of gaming's great lost tribbles, or just another styrofoam boulder flung at the Enterprise crew by an undercaffeinated Interplay designer? Spoiler, it's both, depending on which side of the neutral zone you're standing. I've met people who will fist pump like Kirk after an overdramatic neck chop whenever you mention this 1993 point-and-click adventure, and I've met others who swear it's a ponderous relic best left in a dilithium-powered junk drawer. As for me, I've spent the better part of 3 decades arguing with my own reflection. Do I overrate this thing because Leonard Nimoy's voice still gives me instant nostalgia chills, or is it genuinely the thinking person's Monkey Island set somewhere near Tau Ceti? Brace yourself for rhetorical questions, wild hyperbole, and at least one extended metaphor involving a 3-dimensional chessboard. That's the absurd thread I'm yanking through the whole piece. Just roll with it. Historical context Interplay in the early 90s was on a hotter streak than Kirk's personal log. Wasteland had given them CRPG cred. Battle Chess had proven they could slap a popular brand on a familiar rule set and make it dance. And 1992's Star Trek 25th anniversary delighted both Trekkies and adventure game lifers who just survived the floppy disk famine of Ultima 7. When Judgment Rites dropped the following winter, floppy edition first, CD-ROM talkie 2 years later, because 1990s, Interplay positioned it as the darker, more mature Season 4 of the original series that we never got on television. My local computer store, CompUSA, that impossible warehouse of side quest temptations, let me play the demo on a beige 486/DX2. I monopolized the kiosk longer than a Ferengi reading the fine print in a Latinum contract. Did the clerk threaten to stun me with a barcode scanner? Affirmative. The game arrived amid a micro-rage for licensed point-and-clicks. LucasArts was still coasting on Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, while Sierra was hawking Quest for Glory 4 and Gabriel Knight. But unlike those companies, Interplay had the Paramount seal plus the full cast of the Enterprise, a flex that for a brief Warp 5 moment made PC adventure boxes feel like VHS tapes sneaking into the game aisle. I was 14, still pumping quarters into Mortal Kombat 2 at the bowling alley arcade, and Judgment Rites hit me like a plot twist where Spock suddenly plays a mean round of NBA Jam. He's on Vulcan fire. The notion that my 240 megabyte hard drive could store full-screen phaser battles, courtroom drama, and the meta-weirdness of Scotty discussing his own surname was mind-bending. From the vantage point of 2025, it's easy to forget that plugging a Sound Blaster 16 into clueless DOS settings felt riskier than negotiating with the Gorn over bandwidth. Mechanics on paper. The gameplay loop is simple Starfleet protocol. Beam down, scour pixel-dense rooms, collect doodads, solve puzzles, punch out Klingons in the occasional ship-to-ship mini dogfight. In practice, though, the game is a tri-dimensional chess match, where the board keeps sprouting new levels. You lead Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and whichever red shirt draws the short straw, poor Ensign Kijé, across 8 self-contained episodes that riff on classic TOS motifs. Moral dilemmas, cosmic deities. Is that really a god or just a kid with Q complex? One mission has you brokering a shaky truce with Klingons at a diplomatic gala. Imagine the secret of Monkey Island's insult sword fighting, but replace you fight like a dairy farmer with your father smells of Romulan ale. Another drops you inside a damaged museum ship haunted by time-dilated echoes. Naturally, you fix temporal anomalies by retuning a tricorder like it's a Radio Shack ham radio. The joy is in how Interplay lets you swap between Kirk's swashbuckling, Spock's logic, and Bones' cranky bedside manner to unlock alternate puzzle solutions. Forget morality meters. This game quietly pioneered Federation diplomacy points before BioWare was even spelling out Paragon. Space combat sequences pop up between episodes like mini arcade breaks. They're stiff when you replay them today. Think Wing Commander on half impulse power, but they serve the same palette cleanser function as working the ball launcher in an old pinball table. If you grew up mastering pixel accurate photon torpedo arcs, you'll breeze through. If not, you can slide the difficulty down to Federation Cadet, and the game politely handles the dogfight for you while you sip synth coffee. Yes, that slider is canon DOS magic rather than an on-screen Spock autopilot button, but the effect feels the same when you're spared an extra reload. The UI is peak early 90s verb coin. Walk, look, talk, get, use, options. Click Spock's face and he'll deliver a stoic essay about Andorian symphonies or the tensile strength of doors. A feature whose only modern analog might be Ellie's guitar thoughts in The Last of Us Part 2, but delivered via crisp 8-bit fonts and James Doohan's thick Scottish R's. At least once per episode, you'll misclick, vaporize a harmless creature, and watch bones chew you out for violating the Hippocratic Oath. Mini rant: contemporary adventure games need more scolding surgeons. Modern checkpoint design could benefit from DeForest Kelly's ghost yelling, "Are you out of your Vulcan mind?" every time you press retry. A word on the CD-ROM voices: Shatner's line readings fluctuate between Emmy-level gravitas, and I recorded this in one take because Priceline was calling. Yet that inconsistency is weirdly charming, like listening to an old vinyl with the occasional skip reminding you it's real. Nichelle Nichols nails Uhura's warmth, and George Takei's Sulu remains the smoothest audio cue since Lando Calrissian asked if the Falcon came with leather seats. Playing without voices, the floppy version, feels like switching your tri-dimensional chess set to 2 dimensions. Still playable? Just flatter. And let's talk puzzles. One late game scenario drops you inside a courtroom drama where you must cross-examine witnesses using Kirk's log entries as evidence. My first run devolved into a textual farce. I cited the wrong star date, Spock raised an eyebrow, the Klingon prosecutor smirked, mission failed. Adventure game moon logic? Sure, but it's high-grade Technobabble moon logic, and that makes all the difference. Compare it to Gabriel Knight's infamous cat mustache puzzle. At least Judgment Rites gives you an ethical dilemma instead of grooming tips from Meow Mix, legacy and influence. So why isn't Judgment Rites mentioned in the same breath as Day of the Tentacle or The Secret of Monkey Island when critics roll out the best adventure games ever holodeck? Partly timing. By 1993, the zeitgeist was pivoting to CD-based FMV curiosities. Seventh Guest missed, and Interplay itself would soon chase Fallout dreams. LucasArts, meanwhile, was overshadowing everyone with comedic polish and scum wizardry. Judgment Rites, much like that tri-dimensional chessboard nobody knows how to set up, looked elegant but esoteric. Non-Trekkies bounced off the Stardate info dumps, and the point-and-click genre would falter under Windows 95's DirectX revolution. Yet you can draw a straight line from Judgment Rites to later narrative-heavy sci-fi titles. Telltale's The Walking Dead borrowed the conversation choices that echo in a closing monologue trick from Interplay's debrief screens. BioWare admitted in a 2009 GDC panel that the moral binary in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic took cues from early Star Trek adventures where diplomacy versus aggression altered mission scores. Even modern Star Trek games, few and far between though they are, still mine Interplay's episodic template. Star Trek Resurgence. Dramatic Labs 2023 practically photocopied the away team mechanic, swapping 320 by 200 pixels for Unreal lighting. For those who remember BBS message boards, Judgment Rites also lives on as one of the last big shareware demo hype cycles before the web era. My dial-up modem once spent 4 hours grabbing a 1.44 megabyte demo from a Trek fan site. The file included a text doc begging you to patch your HIMEM.sys. Today that demo floats on abandonware archives like an orbiting time capsule. Tricky to run, but still there. Proof that digital history sometimes outlasts corporate caretakers. Paramount let Interplay's Trek license lapse in 1999. GOG resurrected the game in 2015, but only after a rights labyrinth that would make even Mud's head spin. Closing paragraph plus score revisiting Star Trek. Judgment Rites in 2025 is like unfolding that tri-dimensional chessboard and realizing, hey, the pieces still fit, even if the instructions were printed for an OS that thinks 640 by 480 is widescreen. It's bizarro yet comforting, occasionally obtuse yet proudly cerebral. Does it belong in the pantheon? Absolutely. Next to 25th anniversary and a shelf of Romulan ale. Is it perfect? As perfect as Shatner's pause-heavy soliloquies, meaning the flaws are half the charm. So grab a Tranya, set phasers to nostalgic stun, and give this relic a fresh 5-hour mission. Final score, 8.5 out of 10. Highly logical with just enough Kirk fu to keep the retro engines humming.